So we're here to talk about William Shakespeare today. We're going to make up for the lecture that didn't go well this morning. So you don't have to complete the Cornell notes. You'll just have to answer the questions that are in this Ed puzzle. So everybody knows a little bit about William Shakespeare. He was born in England in April of 1564. He died still in England on April 23rd of 1616. So Thursday is the 404th anniversary of his death, if my math is correct. So why are we talking about a guy that's been around for so long? Well, you'll notice a couple of things about that time period. It's sort of late English Renaissance. So we're after Henry VIII has died. In fact, Shakespeare starts writing during the reign of Henry VIII's daughter, Elizabeth. So early Shakespearean works are known as Elizabethan, and his later works are known as Jacobean, which is Jacobean after King James, who came in after Elizabeth. Shakespeare's works can be broken down into a few categories, but the two main ones that we're going to focus on are the poems or sonnets. Most of his poems were sonnets, or his plays. And we're going to be reading Macbeth, so that will be your introduction to Shakespeare's plays. Shakespeare's plays usually took one of three forms. There were the comedies, and if you think about Dante and the Divine Comedy, something that started out poorly and ended well, and that kind of holds for Shakespeare's comedies as well. His comedies are actually kind of funny. They almost always involve some type of romance. The protagonist may suffer some misfortune, but it works itself out in the end. He also wrote a series of histories. Many of his histories are about the kings of England. So you have Henry V, Henry IV, Henry VIII. There are quite a few Henry plays by Shakespeare. And his histories, even though they may not be 100% historically accurate, a lot of them do come from actual historical chronicles. Usually, I think it's called the Chronicles of Hollingshead, which was a history of England at the time. Then the third category, which kind of veers into historical elements as well, are Shakespeare's tragedies. And a tragedy is very much what it sounds like. The protagonist has some kind of difficulty that he has to confront, some type of misfortune as well, but his misfortune doesn't end well. Even if things are progressing in a good direction, by the end, some bad things have gone down. And Macbeth, even though it is rooted in the history or the historical figure of Macbeth, Macbeth is squarely in the tragedy category. It's almost like historic fiction in a way, and it certainly ends quite poorly for Macbeth and most of the characters in the play. So again, his plays are categorized as either comedies, histories, or tragedies, and we will be reading the tragedy of Macbeth. So William Shakespeare was known as the Bard or the Bard of Avon. Stratford-upon-Avon is where he came from. Didn't necessarily come from a very wealthy background. He wasn't particularly well educated, but he was a very, very intelligent young man. He is a playwright and an actor. Theater in the time was not quite what we think of now. It was not necessarily entertainment for the wealthy and the elites. It was something that the common man could enjoy. So the scenes were often violent and bloody, and the comedy was often crude and sometimes vile. And Shakespeare had some of the crudest jokes that you're not going to understand in his plays. But I'll see if I can't point out some of the jokes and insults for you. I'll even post a video of excellent Shakespearean insults when the time comes. Shakespeare makes his name in London with his theater, the Globe. Now, the original Globe Theater burned down, but they built a new Globe in London. You can go, it's right on the River Thames. I actually saw Macbeth there. I'm going to show you some clips from that one. You might even be able to see me in the audience. But you would go and they would have the expensive seats in the back where the richer people would go, and they'd be able to sit in these tiered seating areas. And then they had a flat area right in front of the stage. The stage would be a little bit elevated so that people in the expensive seats could see better. But then on the ground, you'd have the people that paid for standing room only. They were the cheap tickets. And you would stand there and you'd look up at the stage and watch the play I can only imagine how amazing that would be. I did stand when I went to see Macbeth, but it's a very different setup now than I'm sure it used to be. It is an open air theater, so even though there's a roof, if you are on the ground and you look up, the sky's above you. If it rained while you were watching a play, you got wet. It's just how it was. So William Shakespeare has not just his plays, but he also has his poetry. Shakespeare was primarily known for the Shakespearean sonnets, of course called the Shakespearean sonnets because he's the one that popularized that format. A sonnet is a 14-line poem with 10 syllables per line. 14-line poem, 10 syllables per line. If it has more or less than 14 lines, it is not a Shakespearean sonnet. If it has more or less than 10 syllables in each line, it is also not a Shakespearean sonnet. Shakespeare sonnets followed a very particular form. They would be broken into 3 quatrains followed by a couplet. Quatrain, quattro, 4. So it would be 4 lines, then another set of 4 lines, then another set of 4 lines, and then 2 lines at the end. 4, 8, 12, 14. Each one 10 syllables. Now those quatrains would rhyme, and they would follow a very certain rhyme scheme. So it would be AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. All right, so the first and third lines, AA, rhyme. B, B, the second and fourth lines would rhyme. So the rhyme scheme would be AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, and the couplet would rhyme GG. All right, one more time. A sonnet is a 14-line poem, 10 syllables per line. And for it to be a Shakespearean sonnet, it must follow the rhyme scheme, 3 quatrains plus a couplet, AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. I'm going to read you a Shakespearean sonnet in just a minute so you can see what I'm talking about. Shakespearean sonnets also followed something called iambic pentameter. So iambic pentameter, it just means I am, okay, that's a unstressed syllable, and pentameter, that's 5. So in the line of your 10 syllables, you are going to have 5 unstressed syllables followed by 5 stressed syllables. And that gets you your meter, all right, iambic pentameter. We're going to go over that again too. I'm actually going to show it to you on, I don't have a chalkboard, so I'm just going to write on the wall. So Shakespearean sonnets are written in iambic pentameter. And you kind of feel iambic pentameter, okay? It's almost like a heartbeat. That's much better when you're in the room and I'm doing it and I'm banging on the table. Trust me, maybe next year I'll show you. So his sonnets written in iambic pentameter. This is one of his most famous sonnets. It's amazing. I'm not going to be able to do it justice here. It is Sonnet 18. Will I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou oust, nor shall death brag thou wanderst in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou groust. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Again, I can't quite do it justice, but you can hear it right there. 14 lines, and it's broken up into rhyming quatrains and finishing with a rhyming couplet. So in that very first section, that very first quatrain, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. The A rhyme in the first quatrain is the first and third lines, day and May. Summer's day, buds of May. The B rhyme is the second and fourth lines, temperate and short a date. Right? It matches up, and in each of the quatrains follows that very same rhyme scheme. A, B, C, D, E, F, and then the couplet at the end, we rhyme C and thee. Those are our G rhymes. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. All right, we're going to take a look at the first line of the couplet, and that's how I'm going to show you iambic pentameter. Again, 10 syllables, unstressed and stressed. Let's take a look. So as you can see, my wall's not quite big enough that I can write it all as one line across, so I've written it as two, but this is one line in the poem, I promise you, and it is 10 syllables. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see. 10 syllables. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see. And it's unstressed, stressed. So we have so long as men can breathe or eyes can see. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see. It's just like a heartbeat. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see. All right, so I am an unstressed syllable with a stressed syllable. Pentameter, there's 5 of these. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, and again, that would be one line in the poem. I have a very small wall, and my wife is not going to be very understanding about this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed. Say it with me. Unstressed, stressed. Iambic pentameter in Shakespeare's sonnets. All right. So I mentioned already that William Shakespeare, born in England, died in England, is the great English poet and playwright. He wrote plays that fell into 3 categories: tragedies, comedies, and histories. He wrote poems, primarily sonnets, Shakespearean sonnets we call them now, 14 lines with 10 syllables in each line. They're broken up into 3 rhyming quatrains with a rhyming couplet at the end. The rhyme scheme is A-B-A-B, C-D, C-D, E-F, E-F, G-G. They're written in iambic pentameter. That's 5 sets of unstressed and stressed syllables. All right. And William Shakespeare endures today in part because of the attention and patronage of people like King James I, who took over when Henry VIII's daughter, Queen Elizabeth, died. He was King James VI of Scotland, and then he came and he took over England as well, and he became King James I of England. So we call things written during King James's reign Jacobean Shakespearean plays, because that's how they would have phrased James. It wouldn't be Jamesian. Well, that'd be pretty cool if it was. So we're going to be reading Macbeth. I'm going to introduce you to the play Macbeth and some of the characters on Thursday. I love this play. Like I said, I went and I saw it when I was in London many, many years ago. It was one of the greatest theatrical, actually, it was just one of the greatest experiences of my life. And normally I show that version of the play in class, and it was recorded the night that I was there, totally coincidentally. This is a version of the play that millions of people have seen, and I just was lucky enough to be there the night they recorded it. They performed it 100 nights at least. And it's really a shame that we have to do Shakespeare this way from home. But hopefully if WebEx cooperates, we're going to be doing some acting in the next couple of weeks, where you guys will get to pick your roles in a scene from Macbeth, and we will act it out across the city of Newark in our homes through the marvels of modern technology. I want to reiterate again that I love you guys and I miss you a lot. It's a crazy time for so many of us, but in particular so many of you who are unfortunately ending your freshman year in this very, very strange and very, very unpleasant way. Stay safe, stay home. Please, please, please stay in touch with us. We had a decent sized group show up this morning, but I know when technology stops cooperating, people get frustrated and they stop showing up. For your sakes, for our sakes, for salvaging what's left of your freshman year, please keep showing up. It's really important. Talk to you guys soon. I guess gesture control doesn't work to stop it recording, only start it recording. So I'm going to get up and walk over there.